what is a walk-in and what is a typical walk-in. There's two kinds that I know of, let's put it that way. The ET ones who come in here who have work to do. So they'll take over a body that's, 30 years old, 40 years old. I've met 7 walk-ins and had very interesting conversations with them. So I know a lot about it. But then there's the human ones. So sometimes, and this doesn't seem to happen very often, human one, they want to reincarnate. They all want to take over somebody's body already. So I know a couple of cases where someone was dying in a car accident. The soul came in and took over the body of a 20-year-old who was dying in a car accident. So they're not an ET. Have you heard of this?
Welcome. What is a walk-in and why are they here? Hi, my name's Heather.
Hi, my name is Dana, and we are here talking with Danny today about walk-ins. Danny, do you want to kind of fill us in on our conversation today?
Hi, good morning. It's a subject I've been studying since the 90s. There was a very interesting book written by a psychologist, and to help his patients, what he did was hypnosis. So he had to write a book about it because there's so many interesting things coming up in his hypnosis. And the one story was about a young man, 30 years old, named Danny. He was a doctor. And he said, I'm not from this planet. I'm from far away at the other end of the galaxy. I'm a retired military man. And as a retirement, they said, you can go wherever you want. And I picked Earth. So I came to Earth and took over the body of a 5-year-old boy. So what they did, so can you imagine someone will, it's a mutual agreement. The soul decides, makes this, it's a swap, if you want to call it that. The soul agrees to leave. The entity comes in, and it's a good entity, and says, I want to finish up my life here on the planet Earth. When I die, I'm gone. So this military man from way out in the other end of the cosmos took over the body of a 5-year-old.
Did the 5-year-old relate to this military man? Is this like
No, because its consciousness walked away, but the personality had to stay, basic personality. So the parents and the family didn't wouldn't know that something happened.
Okay.
So the basic personality was there. But being an older, we'll call him a 50 or 60-year-old man walking into a 5-year-old boy, had to pretend to be like a little boy, right? Tend to act like one. Anyway, so that got me started on this, what we call walk-ins. So the last few years I've been able to meet some. And so we're in the middle of an ascension process, correct? Where we're in a shift of consciousness, where we're going to a whole new state from 3D to 5D, correct? And so we need a lot of help, So these, we'll call them Palladians, we call them Andromedans, Arcturians. Many of these races have decided to come here and help us, and to get in here and help us, they can't start as a baby because they'd have to wait 20, 30 years before they can do anything. So it's so much easier to walk into a 30-year-old, 40-year-old.
Why does that
it's
seem
instant.
Sorry, Danny, why does that seem like the show from the Travelers on Netflix? Have you ever watched it?
Oh, yes, I have. That's very interesting. You're right. And that's exactly what's happening. And so many of these, so this is all a good thing. This is not a bad thing. They have come here by the thousands to help us take positions. I've had personal conversations with 7 of these ET walk-ins, Palladians, some are Arcturians, Andromedans from Sirius A, Sirius B. They've come here to help us and to work with us. So what I get is the information that I contact the Arcturians is They've put walk-ins in every industry on the planet. Okay, say we want a complete shift. We want to kick out the monetary system, the political system, all of these different systems that are not working for us. How do you get people in there like secret agents? They'll take in and get in the upper positions of all these corporations, government, military, banking. So they're full of walk-ins. They're already there. They're already in position, and nobody knows this. So I have this information that I get directly from the Arcturians. So they've placed themselves in all of these powerful positions in industry, banking, government. So when we're ready for the change, they're already in position. They're all here to help us. And so they tell me there's tens of thousands of walk-ins on the planet. Tens of thousands. So, interesting story. I had a long conversation with a walk-in. She does some very special healing modalities that are not from this planet. And I had a session with her, and it was really interesting. Really interesting. Not from this planet. And so she had a conversation with her later, and she says there's hundreds and hundreds of more walk-ins coming in all the time. Guess what? They're only coming to Ontario.
Why?
Ontario is the most important place on the planet, by far. By far.
So that seems very interesting to me. Why is that?
This place was chosen thousands of years ago to be a safe haven for light workers on the planet. They had to choose a place on the planet that would be safe for the light worker. They chose Ontario. Georgian Bay South, like a triangle. Windsor over to Kingston, that whole region was designated a safe zone for light workers thousands of years ago. So when she told me that, it just resonated with me, you know, all these new walk-ins coming only to Ontario. So I have a lot of experience with this, and they're nice people. You wouldn't know that they're a walk-in to speak to one, to look at one.
If we feel like there's something, are they open to sharing if we discover it somehow?
Yeah, so in my travels, I guess it's an energy thing. They picked up on my energy from the words that I say, and they felt safe enough to open up to me, to tell me that they're a walk-in, that they're a Palladian, a Dromedan, or any of the other races. And they're in, some of them are in just normal positions. You think, well, why would you come to walk-in? You're not really doing much, right? Because my friend in Toronto, you would think, why would you be a walk-in when you're not doing anything really important, right? So the story is, we do so much work in our sleep. So we had to come down here in human form because when we go to sleep and we astral travel, we do so much work on the planet that we don't imagine. I know I'm going off topic here, but so these, I don't like to call them ETs. Let's call them our star families who have come here to assist us at this time. So they're doing, even though they're in a physical form, they're doing a lot of energy work in their sleep because they came down here to 3D in a human form. So many light workers that I know say to me, you know, I don't think I'm really doing much for the planet. And I said, you have no idea what you do in your sleep. That's where you're doing the really big work. We really are. And so the walk-ins are doing the very same thing. Yes, they might be in high positions in industry and government, getting ready to flip. I call it the flip, when they're going to bring in an entire new system on the planet, right? Because they have the knowledge, right? But they're also working on the astral planes under sleep, doing important work. So there's tens of thousands of walk-ins on the planet.
I'd like to meet
Danny, if I could ask, if I could ask Danny, just then why is it to the point of, is it to shake people up, to see the change and be part of the good change, that why is it that it's getting to the point where it's, where we're so in such a fear, there, brings us into a fear base, right? Why does it have to come to that? Is it because of, like I said, that way then everybody will then be on board for the new change? Is that?
I'm getting very strongly, and some of my friends are getting the same story. There's this group of humans, we'll call them humans, somewhere around 30, 40, who will never get this. Our conversation would go over their head, even when there's news on that there's arrests, that this government is corrupt and so is the banking. They won't believe that. No matter, you could show them in their face the proof, they won't be able to believe it. They won't be able to comprehend it. But for the rest of us, it's a wake-up call for those that don't know that our governments aren't really there to help us. And same with the medical system, is not really there to help us, that they have hidden agendas. And when that knowledge comes out to the media, we're going to wake up way more people, right? But these walk-ins are obviously going to help us on this path of discovery, because we have to get this consciousness higher, correct? And we have to let go of the old systems that don't serve us. And really, this is a spiritual movement. We're moving up spiritually, right? It's a higher level of consciousness that we're going to, right? More awareness of what the world is really about. Because many of us believe, and it's been in the movies, that this is just a matrix. This was created for us as like a test center, like a movie, to teach us right from wrong, left from right, yin from yang, all of these things, right? The duality of this planet is very important, because this is where we learn everything. Do we want to go to the dark side, or do we want to stay in the light side, right? And these walk-ins are here to help us. They really are. It's nothing to be afraid of. And they've prepared us with these sci-fi movies, like this series Dana was talking about earlier. Can you remind me the name?
The Travelers. I've watched that
these,
series twice now for some reason, which I don't really do that.
Very interesting. Now these walk-ins are us from the future. So they're not really a Palladian, Arcturian, any of these other races. So, and they've come here to make things happen properly, right? To get us out of the slump we're in, whatever you want to call it.
Slump.
So they're introducing this. Sorry?
The slump we're in, that seems like really understated.
All these sunbursts that shoot photons to the planet, and all these vibrational shifts that we're going through. Because I'm having days, we're all having days where we're really tired, or we just feel off.
Headachy.
Right? Because all these new, sorry?
Headachy. People are having lots of headaches and neck aches.
That's a big one.
Yeah.
The odd day I'm very lightheaded and wondered, why am I so lightheaded today?
Yeah.
Right? You know, all these interesting things that are coming. But the walk-ins that I've met have been very interesting. They have knowledge that we don't carry on Earth, science knowledge. One of my walk-in friends speaks Palladian. Very interesting to hear her speak it. Very interesting to hear her speak it.
I think I had a reading recently with a lady who was speaking a language I didn't understand. She kept doing it through the reading.
Yeah, and there was a lot of clicks.
Yeah.
And noises. Yeah, they have a different tongue. They have a different way of vocalizing things. So that's really interesting. And there's no fear. There really is no fear. Because sure, we've had some movies where, oh, these aliens are bad. They're going to come here and take over us, and they're going to, imprison us. That's what we're leaving behind, right? That's what we're leaving behind. These are the good ones that are here.
Do you know if you were a walk-in?
I've already tested into it. Yeah, I'm not a walk-in.
But would you know yourself if you were? Like, could you figure that information out if you were a walk-in? It's funny when you say clicks. I have a friend of mine who says, Dana, when you talk, you click. Your voice clicks.
Oh, interesting. So we can go a little further on the walk-in story. Is it's not talked about hardly at all. Is some walk-ins are humans who come back to Earth reincarnated. So I know of a couple stories where a soul is passed and it wants to come back to Earth, and instead of being born as a baby, they're going to walk into someone who's about to die, which is actually the traveler's story, is it not? So I know one story was a 21-year-old bad car accident, was going to die, but a walk-in came in, took over, and the body healed, and it's now a walk-in. The soul left. And so instead of being born as a baby, some humans actually come in as walk-ins. I don't think it's very prevalent. I think it's quite rare from what I know and people I know that deal with it, because it's a whole nother subject that is very strange. Why wouldn't you be born as a baby? Why wouldn't you start from the beginning? Why would you take over someone who's about to die? That's a very interesting concept. I don't know a great deal about it, but it does happen. So in my estimation, there's two kinds of walk-ins, the ET, the alien ones, and the human ones. And they're all amongst us. And you wouldn't know it. You wouldn't know it. The walk-ins that I've met, you wouldn't know that they're walk-ins at all.
So Danny,
would...
yeah. So Danny, you said you've done your studies from years ago, and you were referring to a book that first you first learned from. Do you have the name of the book and the author at all?
No, I'd have to.
Send it to me on the link. Send it to me if you find it on the link, and I'll add it to the comments.
Okay.
Yeah, because it's such an interesting book where this psychologist under hypnosis, you can't really lie, right? You don't make stories up. And this story of this, I don't know what race he was from. I don't think it's a race we know, like all the ones we know about, that came here to retire and took over a 5-year-old's body. Very bizarre story. So there's so many walk-ins on the planet, we might be shocked how many there are. We could be shocked how many there are.
That's good. They're welcome.
I'm sorry?
As long as they're helping, they're welcome.
Yes. And some are just here to retire.
So I can tell you that I had this experience where this lady sent me a video of her son sitting out on the front porch, and he was taking a video of a house that was just down the road, and it literally had a dome beam of energy over it. He captured it on film. I've seen it before on other YouTube videos where you can see the energy dome that's over top of the houses or the property. So you know there's somebody in that house creating something. I'm not exactly sure what it is, but she was like, "What is this, Dana? My son was sitting outside and he was videotaping it. It was like 2 o'clock in the morning."
Wow.
And she had no idea, but I had seen that video before. It was just interesting that the kid caught it because he was observant and looking around, and he's like, "What the heck is that? Ooh, I think I'll videotape it."
Yeah, so these walk-ins that I've known, they're on the ships constantly.
Oh, okay. So
Maybe
they wouldn't
not
be living in
physically.
the houses?
I'm sorry?
So they wouldn't be living in houses?
The walk-ins?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, they live just like you and I.
Oh, okay.
They have jobs. They have families. The one walk-in, she had a very difficult time as a walk-in. Came to her when she was in her early 40s, and she had 3 teenage kids. Can you imagine what the walk-in walked into?
Yeah.
She said the first year was hell because she had to integrate to the human life, taking care of 3 teenage kids. Bizarre. Why would a walk-in come into that situation? Bizarre. It was very difficult, she said, the first year. Very, very difficult. But they're not physically on the ships. At nighttime, their consciousness travels to the ships and they get information. They have meetings. What's going on? This is what we want you to do. So they're constantly in contact with the ships of the planet that they come from, whether it's a Palladian mothership or an Arcturian mothership, wherever they came from, they go there quite often to meet with their commander, to meet with, what do you do? This is what you want you to have and do. So it gets really interesting.
So do they
Really
have
interesting.
memories of their life before then? Is there some sort of
Yeah, they do.
download that they remember
Not a
their
lot.
life?
They do, but not a lot from the ones I've spoken to.
Huh.
So they're on the ships and they get downloads or upgrades and little conversations because they have to kind of put their most of their focus here in the human form. So they have to, keep that off on the back burner, if you want to use that phrase, their previous life, because they can't be discovered. They have to act like us. They have to think like us. Can you imagine how difficult that would be? Really difficult. Because
They'd have
this
to
is such a dense.
they'd have to
Sorry?
integrate into the worldly, earthly living and have to be able to function and not stand out at the same time. Boy, that would be something to
Exactly.
navigate.
If we had a room full and I said three people here are walk-ins, you would know which ones.
You wouldn't know.
You, unless I had a conversation where I picked up on their energy. The average person, you wouldn't know you're in a room with a walk-in.
Would the
You would
walk-in
never
know
know.
they're a walk-in?
Oh, yes.
Ah,
Oh, they know who they are.
okay.
Definitely. And their job here. Like I say, I guess three of them that I know have absolutely normal lives. And you think, why would you come into a normal life? It's because they have to be in physical form to do some of the work they do on the astral planes. So this is the whole story with light workers. We're high vibrational beings that came here to this low density, and all the light workers figure, why am I here? This is so dense down here. These people are not nice to be with sometimes, but we have to be in this physical form to do the work. So this is what they've done. And they're here by the thousands. They're here to help us. This really is a good movement. It's not a horror movie. It's a good movie. It really is.
It's very entertaining. I find it fascinating. All of it.
It is.
And that Travelers movie or series or what have you,
Jeez.
I was very taken back by it. Not just because it was well done, and I like the
It
actors and
is.
so on and so forth, but
Yeah.
there was something about it that just kind of was like, what if this was true? What if there was this little group of people, buried down in a garage, saving the world, and a guy can remember every single thing he's ever seen his entire life or ever read? I mean, that guy that sits behind the computer, that's
Yeah.
phenomenal. But I bet you there's people like that who can do that.
Now, I've never met a walk-in from the future human, not
Oh,
yet anyway. Obviously, they're here. I mean, the fact that they made the movie, truth comes out in these shows all
they
the
really
time.
do.
And so I'm sure there's many humans from our future who are here as walk-ins to help us, right? But we have so much help behind the scenes that nobody knows about. Huge.
So
So
how do we
when we're
help?
ready to, well, we do our own work as light workers, but like I said, we do tremendous work in our sleep. I've only discovered the last 2 years what I do in my sleep. And it blew me away. Okay, why wouldn't you tell me this before? And they said, well, Spirit said, well, we thought it would distract you. I said, no, it wouldn't. It's nice to know what we do in our sleep. We do some pretty incredible stuff. So imagine, I don't know how many light workers are on the planet. They say there's 144,000 of us. I think there's more than that. Doing tremendous work in our sleep, helping the planet get to the next stage, right? Because we want to leave this 3D planet behind and move up to that higher vibration, that higher level of consciousness, right? We want to get away from war and violence and the corruption on the planet. That's our goal, right?
Danny, where did you come up with the 144,000? Because that is a biblical number.
It is, and I'm not big on that number. They say, there was going to be 144,000 beings reincarnated at this time to help us move to the next stage. I think there's more than that, light workers. I really do. That's a small number when you think there's 7 billion of us on the planet. That's a pretty small number. You mean 144,000 are going to save the planet? It's possible. I mean, that's another debate. A lot of people think it's more, some think like you say, it's biblical, right? And the light worker is here to do amazing work. And we're very much like a walk-in. We felt like we were dropped here, felt like, what is this place? I don't fit in here. Who are these people, right? We feel foreign here. I felt it all my life since a little kid, like I don't belong here. So in many ways, the light worker is kind of like a walk-in.
You just didn't relate to anything that was going on.
Not even our own family.
Nope.
Right. But
Right?
why people say, but what you're talking about is a higher awareness, but just not fully in tune or in sync with your higher awareness. How's that?
And that's the journey, right? And that's what the exercise is, and that's what the practice is. And that's why you need to be curious. You need to be able to discover your own soul journey and be part of it for sure.
Yeah, and have a very open mind as to the way things work and spirit and why are we here, right?
And accept the fact that you don't fit in and wear it with pride. I'm okay that I'm weird. I'm okay.
You know, when I got introduced to a whole group of light workers, because I mentioned before, I was awakened in 06. So they have a huge community here where I live, and I instantly got introduced to them and had meetings and gatherings with them. And in a room full of light workers, it's the first time I felt I was home. That they could understand me and I could understand them. It was the first time I felt this is my family. This is who I relate to. The average human don't relate to that well.
Well,
I feel like, right? Like a walk-in. Can you imagine what they have? They are, living on the motherships, and they come with great knowledge and abilities coming down here and being a walk-in. Imagine how hard it is for these walk-ins. That's really hard.
I've had experiences in my life where, I'd be laying there in bed and all of a sudden, I would feel something walking into my room and I kind of like sit up and I'd be like, oh, there's something in my room. The whole electromagnetic energy comes and, my cells start tingling and I'm like, okay. And it startles me, like it kind of puts me off because there's something in my room I know shouldn't be there and isn't there every night.
Right.
And so finally I kind of sit up and I look and I can actually see some sort of corporeal entity that it's humanoid, but it's certainly not human. And I will communicate with it. And first of all, I'll ask, are you here for good intentions, right? That's the first thing I ask is, are you here for good intentions? And because I'm scared, I'm startled, I'm like, what's going on?
Right.
And I feel like they are conscious beings, maybe on their spaceships, and they have done some astral travel into my bedroom. And I ask them questions like that. Are you here for it? Sometimes I can feel the floor moving if they're coming closer to me. One night I woke up and there was like 4 of them walking around the end of my bed. They were kind of merging in between each other as well. They were sort of like going through each other as I was laying there and I was watching them. And it was so weird. The one at the end came around the bed and touched me on the forehead. It just went boink and I was back to sleep just like that. And but I woke up because I was like, what's going on? What's going on? And then he just walked around and went doink. And I was like,
they're obviously there for a good reason.
I've had this experience a number of times in my life, and I feel like they're what you're talking about with me actually having an understanding that would that be considered a walk-in then? If you wanted to do the terms like that? No. That's not just really a visit.
If they walk into a human body.
Oh, okay. That's the difference.
So maybe those were angels, maybe those were ascended masters, maybe there was.
Again, they feel like they were from other sort of energetic realms. That's what they felt like. But they weren't from Earth. They were coming from somewhere else, is what it felt like to me. So you were saying the Palladians and the Alturians, and I've heard of all of these terms and stuff, but Not my
They're
wheelhouse
very
exactly.
real. One of mine is Arcturian, so I'm on the at night in my sleep. I'm on the mothership. So I don't consider myself a walk-in. I don't feel it. I've tested into it, but one of my aspects is Arcturian. So I'm on the ship constantly. So that's why when I see ships in the sky, I can have actual conversations with them. And I always wondered why. How can I have a conversation with a ship? Because I'm one of them. And they're always an Arcturian ship. And I always go directly to the commander. I always wondered why, until they came and told me one day, you are a general on one of the motherships. You are a commander. That's who you are. And this is what I do in my sleep. I go, wow, why wouldn't you tell me that earlier?
Well, that's kind of where I am. What are you doing here? Obviously, you're in my room and coming to see me for a reason, but what am I supposed to do with this experience? And that's where I'm like, am I not ready to ascend to where you need yet? Am I not prepared to have that sort of interaction? I don't feel like I'm going to a ship at night when I'm sleeping. I don't feel like that.
Yeah, you could be. So maybe they're here to assist you with energy work, with knowledge, give you upgrades, right?
And then I just wake up.
Yeah. And so things in your back of your mind, your subconscious, you don't even know about. They're obviously there to help you.
One of them told me to call him Bob. One of them told me to call him Bob. He literally like, call me Bob. And he was joking about it because he said I couldn't pronounce his name. So he's like, call me Bob.
Well, that's a very interesting one. Mine, I've had some inner earth beings come to me in meditation, stand right in front of me and have a conversation with me. And they look very, very similar to us. So are they walk-ins? No, they're beings from inside the earth. There's races down there. Apparently there's 7 different races down there. And sometimes we have interaction with them, just like we have with our star family. So what a weird planet we live on. There's so much bizarre stuff going on. It's really interesting.
What if it was all true? I mean, I feel like I have these experiences. I feel like they are very real, and that's it. But it's not part of people's day-to-day reality and cooking dinner and doing laundry.
No, because of our awareness and our level of vibration, we were able to pick up on these energies and get messages from them. It's very real.
I believe it.
Say that the spirit world is real. This is the illusion. Most humans think it's the opposite, that this is very real and that's etheric and not that real. It's the opposite. The spirit world is real. This is not. This is just a
seems constructed. That seems constructed, though. To me, that feels like that was designed that way.
It's a learning planet. It's a teaching planet. We come down here to learn lessons, learn duality, and raises our vibration because we have to learn lessons as a soul. And walk-ins are very real, and they're here to help us. The 7 that I've met were wonderful. You would know that they're a walk-in until they start speaking about what they know, and you go, whoa, these people are not like us. But they're here to help, especially when they speak, like the clicking. Very interesting. Very interesting. And when I heard her speak one time, it sounded very similar to the way the natives speak in North America.
Lady I just read was doing that. It sounded native to me.
It does. So makes me wonder, the native communities are ETs. You know, we don't want to, this is just my thought on this, because there is such a resemblance to the language.
Well, isn't that very something similar to do with the native race in Arizona? The you'll know.
The Hopis?
Yeah, the Hopi Indians. Is that maybe because they talk about star seeds and they talk about that sort of analogy, and they have lots of stories.
They certainly do, of the beings from ships that come down and over the centuries. They carry on these traditions, right? It's very real, very real. So are we a seeded planet from them? That's a whole nother story.
Makes sense. What came first, chicken or the egg?
Exactly. So any questions, Heather?
No, none. I'm just from the cards that I pulled, it could be very interesting to what we've been talking about, and could be very helpful to those that are paying attention. So if I could read those, are you okay with me reading those? Okay.
Go ahead.
I've got 3 of them. So it says cherishing self, and I accept and love myself. So the next one is igniting courage. I am strong, valiant, and courageous. And then the other one, the last one, breaking barriers. I am expanding beyond limitations into joy and freedom. So there's the part of not living in fear there, right, Danny? And as you were saying, these beings are here to help us and not to harm us.
Very much so.
Right? Yeah. Well, that's what I want to know. What is their message? Like each of them would then have a special message then for us on how to conduct ourselves, or to give us some words of encouragement that we're on the right path and just keep believing, or whatever. What is their purpose, that we would be able to hear from them, if that makes sense.
They are to assist us here in this shift in consciousness, right? They're here to break down this system. Okay, like I said, they're in all these higher echelons of all the different industries, banking, governments. They're all have the knowledge of the system that we need to go to, that serves us, that doesn't work against us, right? And so they have this amazing knowledge. And so when what I call is the flip of the switch, where we get rid of this old system that doesn't serve us, they are already in position, and they already have the knowledge to bring in a whole new system that works for us.
We seem to be close to that.
Control. We're extremely close to this. Watch what happens this year. Watch what happens this year.
It feels like that.
It
Wonderful.
does. So because we need the banking system to change, the governmental system, because it doesn't serve us. It really doesn't. And people were going to look back on this time and say, how barbaric were we? How did we allow that? We're going to get rid of war. We're going to have such peace. We're going to have all prosperity. There'll be no such thing as beggars on the street anymore. This is all going to be gone when the system collapses, because you can't fix the old system. It has to collapse. And these star family is here to assist us with the right way to do it. They have energy, they have technology that we don't have. And that technology is going to assist us in this shift, right? Getting in a whole new quantum financial system.
Did you think that had anything to do with Looking Glass? It does?
So that was so Looking Glass was a project with the Montauk project. That. Friends of mine met one of the 12 scientists that were part of it, Preston Nichols. And so its job, because it was run by the Navy and it was a secret program, to look to the future. And it was the bad guys wanting, we want total control of the human race. If we do this, what happens? They fail. Everything they've ever done to try and program that our future for their better good and our not so good failed, because this is a thing with a future with God involved. This is where our future goes, where we win, they lose.
Love it.
Darkness is leaving the planet en masse.
Good.
En masse.
Let's
and
create
our star
more of that.
families. It is. It's a wonderful time to be alive, and I get excited about this. Yes, there's darkness here. Yes, we're going through a very, very difficult time, but we're breaking through all of this. We really are.
It feels like that.
And these walk-ins are here to help us. They're amazing, along with the LightWorkers, because they call us the ground crew. We came here. We were the volunteers. And they say only the bravest of the brave come down here to help the planet. And that's us. That's us. Yes, it's difficult. And yes, there was days we wanted to give up. Oh God, yeah. But we came through it and we're working through it. And this year we're going to break through in many ways. Watch what happens.
So Danny,
And then the celebrations and the parties start.
Yay, I can't wait. So that's wonderful. Great. We are going to continue this conversation, of course, Danny, have you back on, and we'll talk more about this for sure. So I think we'll end it at that. Thank you so much, everybody, for watching the video.
Welcome.
Please like and subscribe and share. And don't forget to comment as well. We'll see if we can answer them for you. And I don't know. How's that for our All Things Energy podcast?
Beautiful.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye.